So we're all set for liftoff in this crucial international as Roger Gould lifts off a high kick down there and taken immediately by the new Welsh scrum half David Bishop. And what a start he's made. Die the Bish, they call him, and he's got off with a good touch kick. Right away, the Australians have cut their line out to 4. The thrower in is Tom Lawton, this big 16-stone hooker. Plays for the Souths club in Brisbane. Eddie Buckler got in, but there was a push at the front of the line out, and it's a penalty to Wales. So right away, Mark Wyatt. Well, I tell you, it's great to come back into the international side after missing a season and then to get a touch kick away like that. Halfway line. One of the great successes on this tour, 6'6". Gathered in there by the big lad Cutler. Ball nudged forward. And the scrummage going right out the 15 metres. Nick Farr-Jones waits. So does Bishop. Bishop's footwork was good, he didn't get offside. Well, in fact, he must have got a foot in front, and the referee Owen Doyle was waiting for advantage. So Roger Gould, the fullback. Oh, he sliced that one away, and yet it could be quite useful, although Mark Wyatt there has a lot of time. He hasn't found touch. And there comes Campese. That is one of the highest Gary Owens I've seen this season. Just outside the Welsh 22. Well, a very good start, Gareth, for two of the Welshmen anyway with those touch kicks.
Yes, and the most important two in David Bishop and Mark Wyatt, who wanted a steady start. There's no real indication yet which way the game is going to go, but I'm particularly pleased to see the condition of the field after all the heavy rain.
And it's Malcolm Dacey who's got his kick in, hasn't found touch. Gould feeds it out to Campese. Campese in two minds. Steinman was cut off. Now it's Peter Grigg. Grigg, this powerful wing, caught in midfield. So Owen Doyle is very quick indeed with the whistle when the ball is trapped there, and that's a pretty good idea early in the game when exchanges tend to be a bit heated, as fellows up there show how tough they are. The pick-up by Toynman to Farr-Jones. They've got a bit of space here. Gould's coming to the line. Out to Grigg. Grigg trying to switch inside. Tackle was high. Penalty.
Well, the referee is going to stamp his authority in this match immediately with this very high tackle from David Bishop. It's the most difficult tackle of all, quite unnecessary, but the man cutting back inside makes the tackler leave his trailing arm behind, and the game is well rid of those sort of tackles.
And here an interesting development, because Roger Gould is going to try this kick. Michael Lynagh has been doing the kicking for the Australians in the internationals so far. But Roger Gould, of course, had a very good match against Munster with 19 points in the Australians' 31-19 win. And you'll notice, of course, that Roger Gould places the ball in the old-fashioned way, the Okie Geffen way, if I can call it that way. Gould then, high enough and long enough and straight enough. What a superb start, 3 points to nil, the Australians lead. They've played about 4 minutes. So that'll be immensely encouraging to the Australians who wanted a good start. This particular atmosphere can be such a challenge to new fellows to it. So it's Mark Wyatt to restart. Very long. Ella to Gould. And Gould with a cannonball hoof. Yes, what marvellous judgment. That really was another superb kick by the big fullback. He made up for that slice earlier on. So right at the tail there for Wales is David Pickering, one of the two Llanelli flankers in this side. The other one, Alan Davies, both from Straddy. Pick up there by Norster. Now it's from Bishop to Dacey. There's the high one. Gould on his own 22. The flight beat him. It drifted. But he recovered well enough. Oh! I hope it stays like this, he's saying to himself, I'm pretty sure. So on the Welsh 22, Rodriguez was the man who cut it in. This is Mark Ella. Another very high punt. Looked as if the Australians might have won a useful ball there, but the scrummage there as close as that. Good test of the Welsh scrummage, this. David Cody, the flanker on this side. Bishop almost caught by Far Jones, gets it out to Dacey. Well cleared. So Malcolm Dacey, whose choice was perhaps a bit controversial, they reckon he hasn't been playing quite as well this season, but he did have a good championship last time. So the Australians going for the shortened line. And there Tom Lawton. Nicely back from Cutler. Far Jones to Ella. That was Liner. Inside to Poidevin. Far Jones again. Useful ball for the Australians as the scrum half goes. Patches back inside. It could be a score. Gould in the line. Grigg trying to get there. And that could be a score. And the arms are aloft. And the scorer is Lawton, the hooker. 7.5 minutes gone. And the Australians 7-0 in the lead. And so it was Mark Ella's little short pass and then Poidevin who set the ball up beautifully. Now this really was a good ball because Far Jones had a lot of room. Watch how he took a man out. That was big Gould, the fullback, in. A lovely pass to Grigg, and yet he actually got it inside, and Lawton with his 16 stones did the rest. A great try. So the Australians must be thrilled when you think of their record here. And here once again, Roger Gould with the chance to stretch the lead. That's the camera down at the Taff end, the River Taff. Gould very high, but wide.
Well, this is something that Australia must have been working on, to take a shortened line out first of all, to set up that situation for Nick Far Jones to get away. Now watch this little inside pass with the backing up of the Australians, Roger Gould there. The improvisation of these lovely passes, committing the Welsh tackles, and Grigg, even though he is tackled, the overhead pass, the forwards even want to get in on the act. An excellent try, but the credit to the Australians for setting it up in the first place.
7 points to 0. They've played almost 10 minutes of the first half. And Wales this time have cut their line out to 2. Look at those Australians all poised on the 10-metre line as Mike Watkins prepares to throw. Right over the top and meant for Pickering. That should be a good ball for Wales. Well, Simon Poidevin was the man who prevented the ball from being released. That's the Australian 22. Lot of options here as Bishop has a go. Well, he's done often enough for Pontypool. Dacey out there to Ackerman. Ackerman's little chip through, giving the new cap Phil Lewis the chance. And Roger Gould was the man who saved for the Australians. There's Phil Lewis of Llanelli, 38 tries last season, almost another one there. That's the Australian goal line. A lot of pressure from the Australians. They've crabbed it a bit and they've shunted. Far Jones gets it. The referee decides the ball was clear, so he wasn't offside. And that will really encourage the Australian forwards. That was one of those panic areas you might, Bill Dickinson, the old Scottish coach, used to talk about. But the forwards saved it with the little turn, the drive, and then the breakout. It's a penalty for offside.
Well, with the first 10 minutes under their belt, the Australians must be delighted with their start. Such a confident start, especially from their forwards. The scrummage has been particularly tight, and that's impressed me because it was in the front five that I expected Wales really to have a tight grip on this match. But Australia have crabbed the first couple of scrummages, and in actual fact have even pushed Wales back on their own put-in, which doesn't augur well unless Wales tighten up in that department.
10-12 metres outside the Australian 22. Knocked back by Toynman. Now fed on to Ella, out to Slack, that's long. Yes, Mark Wyatt having to go back, he's going to have to play it. Up there, Campese. And Mark Wyatt really had to look slick there. Well, there's Enrico Engardo Rodriguez from Cordoba, who's played 15 times for the Argentine. El Tope, they call him, because that means the mole.
Well, I was rather surprised that Australia had opted for the shortened line-out in the first couple of line-outs, but that improvised try that they scored must have been something they would have worked on to suck in the Welsh defence, tie them all in the midfield, and then allow Far Jones to go away. It'll be interesting to see now whether or not they'll keep the long line out, because they've got some very tall men in the middle of the line.
That was thrown to one of them, the big lad Cutler. Far Jones again, another hanging nasty ball right in front of the Welsh posts. Wyatt actually went in for it. Good clearance by Bishop. Amazing to know that David Bishop here broke his neck in a match against Aberavon about 3 seasons ago, off 10 months, but here getting his first Welsh cap. Rodriguez at the front. Toynman in, Far Jones, Ella, Lina. Lina feeds on there to Grigg coming inside. That's a drive on by Boydovan. This is brilliant Australian stuff. What a start they've made. Ella once again. Another high hanging ball, angled beautifully. It's the bounce that'll count. Lewis was the man there, but there was an offside decision. One of the Australians in front of the kicker. Bishop. That's useful. Gould having to go all the way back there. But with plenty of time. And another whiz bang of a Dutch kick. Oh, that was a good one, wasn't it? I think he was suggesting to John West, the Dutch judge, that it had gone a bit further than that. But of course the Dutch judges and the referee all neutral here. John Perkins of Pontypool, playing today in his 9th international on the trot. Watkins with the throw. Bishop. Ackerman. Great tackle by Boydovan on halfway. Fed back from Butler. The pick up by Wyatt. Oh, this is a good chance here. Dacey. Dacey to Ring. Ring back inside to Bishop. Bishop up to the 22. Beautifully tackled by Campese, inside to Dacey. They're only 15 metres short. Pickering goes on. Bishop again, along the line from Titley. Ring within 10 metres. Marvellously exciting stuff from Wales, and listen to the roars. Yeah, that was a bit more like it, they're all saying round the ropes here. Bishop waiting, it's come down channel one and they're trying to give it to Butler. That was the big man, Davies, number 6, who went round. Now it's Bishop, feeding Dacey, but a solid wall there of Australian jerseys waiting for him. In goes Pickering, number 7. Now it's the breakout. Beautifully out from Far Jones. This is Campese. Campese. The kick sliced as Ackerman put him down. And a very good bit of refereeing there by Owen Doyle as Campese was put down and Bob Ackerman gave him a little extra push. Owen Doyle was in quickly.
But any question marks there on Dacey or Bishop was soon eradicated there with that magnificent movement by the Welsh backs. The type of play that coach John Bevan has said that he would introduce throughout the season. Good, excellent close interplay between forwards and backs. But the Australians, once again, showing how quick they are to take advantage of the situation and get away so quickly. And of course, in Campese, they got one of the quickest wingers in international football. He only needed half a chance, and it's credit that Ackerman was able to tackle him just on halfway.
Yes, that's David Ian Campese, who has a special dish named after him by a local restaurateur up there in the Australian Capital Territories. Filet Campese it is. There's fame for you. 7 points to 0, 17 minutes gone. So that's halfway. Bob Norster at number 4 there, giving himself a bit of room. There's this great line-out specialist, and got his hands to it well. Bishop caught as the Australians went through. But it looks as if the Australians may have been closing the line a bit early, for the referee's liking, and it's a free kick.
But the problem in the line-out is that you've got such two tall men in Norster and Williams and Cutler that possession might not be as clean as both sides will want it, and there'll be a tendency to just tap the ball down in front of the scrum halves. That's why it's so important that the rest of the forwards can pick it up and then present the scrum half with better possession than is happening at the moment.
Yes, the sweeping's so vital, isn't it, Gareth? Quite right. Lawton throws. Mike Watkins, number 2, tries to rip it clear, but that was a good Australian drive. Bishop, Dacey, neat little chip, taken by Ella. Cody goes to help him. Ella did the little dummy, and that was clever. Well, that really was a little touch of deception that came off for the Australians. Mark Ella in trouble. David Cody, the big flanker, actually went to him to help him, and Ella kidded on that he'd smuggled it to Cody, and in fact went away with the ball himself. Cute. That's halfway. Great catch by Tyneman. That's Steve Tyneman, the 21-year-old. Far Jones to Ella. He had so much time. Didn't kick that as well as he wanted to. A lot of Welshmen there. Bishop through. Big Grigg was in trouble. Bishop nicely out. Ackerman caught. That was Pickering handing on. Inside Australian territory. Bishop once again. Dacey, there's an overlap here. Ring to Wyatt. Wyatt kicking through for Titley. Campese got hands to it first. 22 drop out.
Well, watch Bishop here. Look at this improvisation of a pass off the floor. He's really playing the game of his life, which is the sort of thing that Wales need now. They need that momentum. They've really given the initiative to Australia. And Dacey getting his backs away. Wyatt putting it into the corner. But of course, as I mentioned beforehand, in Campese, Australia got people with plenty of pace there who can cover that. But it's very interesting to note the game that David Bishop is playing. He's probing all the time. He's looking for opportunities all the time to set his backs in motion and also to get across the gain line. Wyatt here, even though he could have released his winger earlier, decided to put the ball into the corner.
Well, a bit of delay here as we go into the second quarter of the match. 20 minutes gone and Australia leading 7-0. The delay for an injury to Ian Stevens down in the middle there, and the singing starts again.
I think the first 20 minutes Australia are very much in the driving seat. Although Wales have come back with a bang, Bill, I feel there's a little bit more control about the Australian side at the moment.
Michael Lynagh waits to get the game going. Tyneman again. This big lad is 6'4", who captained the Australian schools' unbeaten side in Europe, 81-82. Australian 22, Eddie Butler there, who captained Wales 6 times and took them on tour too. That's quite a handy move there, and it's a Welsh move that's gained them a try or two in the past. A quick throw in and the knock down to the front. But that time not straight. That's Nick Farr-Jones, the 22-year-old student from Sydney University. And he came over here as the number 2 scrum half, in fact, to Philip Cox, but Philip Cox got injured, and young Farr-Jones played so well that he's played in all 3 internationals so far. Gould, left foot hooked. Wyatt, that's useful. Oh, good call for the mark by Farr-Jones. He was just inside his 22. He had a good feel for where he was, and he got all the other things right. Stationary, good clean catch, heel in the ground, and the call. Mike Watkins looks particularly anxious there. And out there attending to the injured Welshman, Ian Stevens again, Ike from Tongwyn Lice, as they call him sometimes, and tended to there by Tudor Jones, who took over from Jerry Lewis a season ago. And it looks to me as if Ian Stevens has got rib damage, and that really is rotten luck for him. Probably regarded as the best and most effective loose head prop forward in the game at the moment. A double British Lion. Was actually a British Lion before he played for Wales. So it's Nick Farr-Jones with the free kick. And there'll be an awful lot of local folk here will be rather excited because the replacement prop is Jeff Whitefoot of Cardiff. There, the former Cardiff hooker. Mike Watkins, now the captain of Newport. And Wales a man short. Watkins throwing long to Norster. Nicely back to Bishop. Good feed to Butler. Butler runs into Cutler. Bishop. Ring. That's neat, but Ella took it well. Ella, a huge spiralling kick. Perhaps a bit too far. Although Grigg goes for it. But it's Lewis who gets there first. So the 28-year-old Jeff Whitefoot is prepared to come on for what will be his first cap, and listen to the cheer he gets if he does. A lovely moment. Look at him, how delighted he is as he gives that clap of the hand. His first major international for Jeff Whitefoot, who's played for the B team against France in the last 3 seasons. Dacey restarts. Up went Cutler, Far Jones, Ella, missed out liner. Gould couldn't take it. A chance here for Wales as Ackerman kicks through and was obstructed. Down goes Gould. Nicely out to Campese. Campese to Ella. Once again, not finding touch. All the way back goes David Bishop. The referee has blown his whistle because over there, David Burnett, the Irish Dutch judge, has a flag up pointing to Wales's way, so this could be a penalty to Australia under the foul play law. Yes, indeed. We couldn't quite see who he was picking out, but a good bit of Dutch judging that by David Burnett. That's what they're supposed to do. Obviously saw something under the foul play law 26 and reported it, and this is the result. So whatever it was, it may have been something off the ball that he saw, but it could be very important indeed, because this could put the Australians into two figures. So once again from the taff end, Roger Gould will be happy to have the kicks from over at that side, because on that north side of the ground the grass is longer and it's really a bit firmer over there, so that the non-kicking foot doesn't squirt away so much. Gould then. No, pulled it wide. Mark Ring decides to run. Out there to Titley. Titley crushed down in that tackle there by Peter Gregg, but got his kick away well. The tackle by the big right wing was fair. So the ball hit an Australian, and Mike Watkins gets the throw. Meant for Eddie Butler. He got hands to it all right. Bishop caught by Tyneman. Now we'll get a good view of this scrummage on this side. Rodriguez against Ian Eidman. Well, that Australian scrum looked solid. Tyneman to Far Jones, out there to Campese. Campese with a real chance here. Campese going for the line. Feeds out to Poidevin. It's a try there for Liner. Brilliant stuff. .28 minutes of the first half gone, and Australians very much in the saddle. 11 points to nil. It was a lovely scrummage. Tyneman, the number 8, let Far Jones away. Now look how he timed his pass beautifully. And then Campese, very quick and sharp off his left foot. It was really a swerve he did. It was great support work too. 3 or 4 fellas were there. The first man was Poidevin, and then look at the timing of his pass to Liner. The way was clear for the inside centre. Great stuff. .11 points to nil, and Roger Gould waits downfield whilst his fellows have their little chat. There he is, this big fellow again, and another injury to the Welsh. I think it may be Mark Wyatt who's hurt. Yes, Mark Wyatt looks all right, and so it's Roger Gould. Now, if you have a look at the mark he's making, you'll see how splotchy it is. The further over to this side of the ground that you come, the more soggy the pitch is. Although they reckon 300 tons TONNES of water flowed off this pitch overnight, so it gives you some idea. But it's all a question here for Gould of head still, follow through and don't snatch. Yeah, he must have got it all right. A penalty and a conversion for Roger Gould.
Well, the things to watch here is look at the space that Tyneman allows Nick Far Jones. You see Bishop is committed. Now the release to Campese. Now Wyatt had no chance whatsoever, because as soon as he swerves, with the condition of the field, Wyatt is left for dead. But look at the way the Australians are backing up. Poidevin into the line again. Liner still has it to do, but really the situation had been created by Campese and his speed.
Well, that's the mountain Wales have got to climb now, and it really is a tough one, although they've plenty of time. And they're one of the happiest men in Cardiff, Michael Liner. Wyatt restarts. Ella on that strong left foot of his. And we've about 9.5 minutes of the first half to go. "13 points is a handsome lead by any standards nowadays in international rugby. But I've seen Wales make some great rallies in the past. Watkins, Tyneman got hands. There's John Perkins rumbling round from the front of the line out, but couldn't quite hold it. Far Jones again, Tyneman was there, now it's Ella. Again, the little chip kick, and a good catch indeed there by Philip Lewis. There's Phil Lewis, a prolific try scorer. Doesn't he look like J.J. Williams? Welsh 10 metres line. Tyneman beaten to it by Butler, but again the drive through by the Australians. Robert Norster did well there, he prevented the first release. Out to Ella, Liner. Gould in the line. Campese busting through. Gould got it away well. The pick up by Liner. He wasn't held. Ella, Campese. And there's a bit of quick thinking. The high Gary Owen, but the touch judge's flag was up. Though David Campese, you'll notice, full of ideas there. He had thought of putting it across field where there was a lot of open space.
Use the right word, ideas. The Australians are so much quicker in thought at the moment. Obviously they've got the confidence of that margin of 13 points to nil, but they're a yard quicker in speed and a yard quicker in thinking as well.
Cutler went up, but Norster had judged his distance beautifully, and what a jump he made. David Bishop did the clearance work. That's the kind of ball he wants. That's the kind of ball he's used to from his Pontypool pack under Ray Crosser. Little paternal word of advice there from the young Nick Far Jones to the big Steve Williams. Lawton throws. Cutler palms. Poidevin gathers in. Is caught by Butler. Poidevin did well. Far Jones, Ella, Liner on the miss. Slack was on the miss as well. Up comes Wyatt. Wyatt caught there by Grigg. Feeds on to Perkins. But again, the drive by the Australian forwards. Jay Perkins, Esquire of Pontypool, getting up there, looking for a bit of support, and got a huge Australian instead. It's a hard life sometimes. Well, look at that Australian scrummage. Far Jones, Ella. Oh, one of those magical little passes to Gould. They really are growing in confidence as the game goes on. Australians over the top. And those big forwards, one of their heaviest backs, they've been in an international for some years. They average over 16 stones. And Wales having a job just to get into this match. Wyatt. Safe and sure. Mark Wyatt, who missed all of last season.
And he's so right in saying Wales trying to get into this match. Where we thought Wales might have been stronger than Australia was in that scrimmage and that platform that Wales could have given the Welsh halfbacks. But that hasn't materialised at all in the first half hour of the match.
Certainly there again, the Australians tidying up their line-out ball through Rodriguez. Now it's Far Jones along the line to Slack. Oh, some lovely passing to Campese. Campese over halfway. And again, a rocketing punt. Maybe go just a little bit too far. Wyatt is there. And David Campese there, who's playing in his 14th major international, 17th altogether. But There, the quick drop out with Mark Titley ready to go, but offside. Oh, they'll be annoyed. I wonder what Mike Watkins is saying. Ball put into his own feet, a squint feed, and Bishop all set to go. Well, I thought they were going to try a flying wedge there, although it's been outlawed as well, but it's Wyatt instead. Gould in there to Campese. Campese from a standing start, look at him go. The Australians really waxing confident, nicely out there from Rodriguez to Farr Jones. Wyatt again. Knocked over there by David Cody. Referee deciding, I think it was a bit late. And the double penalty. Wales taking the penalty with the ball alighted. Wyatt once again. Oh, there's a rocket. Oh! Well, with about 3.5 minutes of the first half to go, plus a bit of injury time, Wales really are looking for a score here, just to get back into the match. It would lift them for the second half, 13 points down, they're within 12 metres. But it's the Australians to throw. Through there goes Watkins, but the ball was knocked forward by a Welsh hand. Often a ploy that forwards use, the knock through, hoping the referee won't see it. Farr Jones. Oh! Gould in trouble, and it's a scrum 5. Ball just squirted away. So, options galore here for the Welshman. David Bishop, who, as I say, is used to playing behind that all-conquering Pontypool pack. Now let's watch and see if the Australians take it sideways. Owen Doyle wants the scrummage to be kept up, but let's see if the Australians take it sideways a bit to their left, and then put in the shunt. They did it earlier, very effective. Yes, there's the sideways, and there's the drive. Eddie Butler in real bother, but gets it well. Alan Davies goes with him, now it's Bishop. Dacey, the switch to Ackerman. Ackerman well tackled by Ella, gives it on to Bishop. Bishop on the drive. Another thumping tackle there by Tyneman. Once more it's Bishop. He really is a tough guy, this Pontypool scrum half. But no way through. And really that was, yes, it was a good thing the referee blew his whistle. It began to get a bit rough there. But the upshot is a penalty to Wales.
Well, Bishop must be finding it very odd not to have possession from a scrum 5 yards from the line going forward, which he enjoys so much with Pontypool, which is what's making it difficult for him to breach that Australian defence. The scrum is breaking up just in front of him. He's back on his heels, so to speak, and therefore he can't quite get the momentum. Though he's very tigerish, strong and powerful near the line, he hasn't got that little bit of speed which the forward momentum of a scrum would give him. And I'm sure that he hopes that Wales can tighten that scrummage up, particularly in the second half, so that he can at least be going forward.
So an important moment for Mark Wyatt, who scored 34 points in his first 4 internationals 2 seasons ago. Wyatt then straight and through. Well, that'll boost Welsh confidence just a little bit. There's a long, long way to go, but with half-time almost upon us, they've cut that deficit, and, well, it's always something. The very fact that they managed to get themselves into that position to kick the penalty goal is a plus for a start. Can they do it again? So we're virtually into injury time at the break here, as Roger Gould, who's played a lot of club rugby in the Argentine and in Italy as well, Gould gets it going. Titley. Well, it was sliced by Mark Titley, and of course a lot of groans round the crowd, but at least he found his touch, which was the main thing. So the Australians have left in Big Steve Cutler and Steve Tyneman, and they're against Alan Davis and Bob Norster. The throw to Tyneman. Well, it's a free kick to the Welshman. It looked a very good move indeed. And Big Steve Williams, the vice-captain of the Australians, goes up to ask what the reason was. He may have started to move far too early, but certainly it was a good move. And the Australians are disappointed because that's probably one they've kept up their sleeves. And now it's been shown. There's the new cap, Jeff Whitefoot there with Mike Watkins bawling advice to him. Difficult for a captain to make himself heard in this great stadium. Lawton throws, Cutler palms, Far Jones, Ella, Liner. Well, it looks a wee bit too far, yes. But that is exactly the way the Australians practiced it at their practice session on Thursday. Mike Liner with that spiralling kick. And there on the right, the captain, Andrew Slack, the inside centre and the centre. Australian 10 metres line. Tyneman just beaten to it again, but through there went McIntyre. That's Tyneman going on. Poidevin was there as well. Referee's whistle goes for the end of the match. For the end of the first half of the match. That's how exciting it's been. And Australia arrive here leading by 13 points to 3, having scored 2 tries to none. Mark Wyatt gets the second half going. Up there went Steve Williams. Rodriguez pulled it in. And there's the thing I was mentioning. This lovely, tidy ball that the Australians are producing for their backs, enabling Mark Ella on that occasion to send in that huge punt. I mean, the amount of ground he's gained there. One moment the Welshmen are up on the Australian 22. The next minute they're toiling away back to their own. And what a gifted magician this fellow is when he's really in top form. Cutler, number 5, the 6'8" lad. The control tower, but not getting hands to it that time. And it's Bishop. Taken by Gould. Gould generally very good under the high ball. Titley there. Far Jones is up. The Australian scrum half was the man who got the tackle in, but the Welsh forwards did well. They rallied quickly and enabled Bishop to feed Dacey. Welcome Dacey, who's dropped 3 goals for Wales against England. So Tom Lawton, the Australian hooker, throwing to this 3-man. His grandfather played for the Great Waratahs in 1926-27. Taken there by Whitefoot. So there's big Alan Davies of Llanelli, who hasn't had a lot of rugby this season because of a bad bout of pneumonia. This is first cap. Wyatt. So Wales have started the second half well enough at the line-out. Just a suggestion that the breeze might be getting up a little bit. Although with this huge stand all the way around the ground, perhaps the players more protected than in the past. Far Jones. Another skyscraper. Titley waits. Did well. Yes, Mark Titley there, very dangerous. Scored a record 42 tries last season. So look at the Australian three-quarters there, how deep they are, and yet fairly close. Lawton throws, Buckler did well, couldn't quite control it. That was David Cody, this big 6'4" flank forward. Now let's watch this scrimmage again closely and see how the Welsh get on. Yeah, they held it better there, Bishop. Dacey once more. So David Pickering, number 7 at the tail there, the tail gunner for the Welshman, well he was, but hasn't had a lot of chance to get in amongst the Australian three-quarters. The possession has been so good. Now Bob Noster has gone to the back of this line out to try and avoid or neutralise a long Australian throw, but they changed it. With Bob Noster very aware, another of the British Lions in the side. 4 Lions altogether in this Welsh team. With just 111 caps, that gives you some idea of, in a sense, a lack of experience in the side. Doynman picking up. A lot of referees have decided that even if the ball is in the back row, as it were, if it falls in, that they re-scrummage. Far Jones, Ella, Liner. They've missed out everybody. Campese suddenly materialising. Tried to get it out to Greg. Ackerman saves inside the Welsh 22. Out to Eddie Butler. Now it's Bishop. A thumping tackle by Cody. Wyatt gets it away. But there, Gareth, just another example of those Australian wings appearing in crucial positions.
That's right. They've been doing it throughout the tour, bringing the blindside wing out into the open space. And of course, when you've got an injection of pace like you've got with Campese, it can make so much trouble for the opposite defence.
5 minutes played of the second half. 13-3 Australia. Dacey misses out one man, gives it to Ring. Ring, bit too far. So Mark Ring there, who was a ball boy here when Wales played Tonga in 1974, and here he is with his second international. So there, Dr. Sid Sugarman, the grey-haired gentleman there, who's looking after the Australians, and of course alongside him, Graham Short, who's the baggage master since 1969-70 to touring sides. Lawton with the throw. Again, beautifully taken in by Rodriguez. What a useful forward he is at the line-out. This is Liner. That's well manufactured, but didn't get quite as much spin as he wanted. And Wyatt recovers. Jeff Whitefoot of Cardiff, and his opposite number there, Enrique Rodriguez. Doynman gathers in. Once again, a very good Australian drive. Their forwards are using their extra weight. Just lost control of it there a bit, but they really are rallying quickly to the ball. And what a joy to see a bit of sunshine up there on the East Terrace. It's poured and poured for the last 3 days here. But the pitch has been a credit to Bill Hardiman and his staff. They've worked miracles with this pitch. A little bit soft down there where they're scrummaging, but marvellous otherwise. And now it's Far Jones, inside to Doynman. And certainly the Welshman, I think, showing real sportsmanship round about the ground here. Some superb singing, and I think as much in praise of the Australians as in encouragement to Wales. Bishop, a high tackle by Ella, was it? Yes. Referee deciding it was high, and they have been asked this season to be strict about that. Mark Wyatt.
But if Bishop is going to be doing all this running, which he has shown in the first half, then he must have his back row up behind him very, very quickly. The most dangerous thing that can happen to Wales is for Bishop to break away as he did then. And of course, the Australians are getting there in strength, therefore taking away the possession, which is very important possession in loose play.
Bit of pushing there, yes. Bit of shunting through the line. John Perkins acknowledged that. He more or less said, yes, I gave him a push. So that was fair enough by the big Pontypool lock there. Roger Gould again. Another siege gun effort. The peripatetic fullback, they call him. He's played rugby in a lot of places over the world. He's cruised the Greek islands. He's skied in the Alps. That's the Welsh 22. Good tap down there by Big Davies. Bishop. Well, he's a fighter, all right, and he gave his forwards a target, and the Australians palmed the ball back in the ruck. And he's a real little battle cruiser, this one, isn't he? Wyatt again. I wondered, Gareth, if Bishop wouldn't be better just getting the ball away 2 or 3 times and taking some of the attention off himself.
I would agree with you. I think it'd be far more effective if Wales can get into the Australian territory. That, of course, is the big question, if. But, of course, all that hard work, 20 yards from your own line, isn't really doing your side any good.
Farr Jones did well. He really ducked away from one man and took it in neat and tidy, and his forwards, I think, have worked it from him. I think they'll try and roll away the maul, but they've been frustrated there by David Pickering. Back there from Ella, who noticed the scrum half was missing, and Gould put it high. So the Australian mascot there. We've played 10 minutes of the second half, and all Australia rejoices at the moment. But this Welsh crowd here haven't given up hope by any means. Watkins to throw. Trying to use Pickering at the tail. Bishop went down, but the ball squirted away from him. And that was Bob Ackerman. Bob Ackerman there, the big London Welsh centre. Gould. I tell you, when Roger Gould kicks the ball, it's like the 1 o'clock gun in Edinburgh Castle. There's a big man, Steve Williams, who was over here and played against England in '81. So Steve Williams is at the front, Rodriguez behind him. Northshire trying to go, caught by Cutler. Bishop, Dacey. Dacey, eel-like running. Just a bit unlucky. He fell as he passed. He wasn't actually held, and therefore it was fair enough, although he was on one knee. And there, a finger dislocation. That's what it looks like. But there we are, old fella, straightened out. Well done. Lovely bit of work. Dr. John Davis sorted that out. Still nipping a bit, though. Farr Jones, Ella, Liner, out to Gould. Gould trying to find Campese. Saw he was blocked off and got the kick in. But the referee deciding that Roger Gould, I think, was No, he was in front, deciding that Campese was in front, I'm sure. So they're still on halfway. Bishop. Improvised cleverly. "24 years old, his first international, and he's telling all his forwards exactly what he wants." David Joseph Bishop. That's the Australian 10 metres line. Steve Williams got hands to it. Far Jones again, very cleverly cleaning up for his forwards. Not throwing out anything, but he's been robbed. This is Pickering. Good tackle by Poidevin. Back onto Davies. Davies off an athlete charging on. Caught there by Gould. Watkins trying to wrestle it clear. Bishop. Good tackle by Far Jones. Out from Pickering once again. Rodriguez puts him down. Once again it's Bishop. Dacey. They're only 2 or 3 metres short. The drive on there by Perkins. Bishop again. The dummy, and has he got it down? Owen Doyle was well positioned, but quite obviously too many hands on the ball, and it'll be a scrum shot. It could well be another penalty to Australia, because Owen Doyle is having to go across to John West, who has, or it'll be a penalty to Wales because he's pointing to the Australian side. There's John West, such an experienced referee, so this could be another penalty to Wales.
It's so easy to say when somebody fails to score a try that he's doing the wrong thing. But I do feel that David Bishop now is overplaying his hand a little bit too much. All you had to do then was to release the Welsh backs, and there's a good chance they might have gone over on the wing.
Well, that really was a bit confusing. John West seemed to have his flag pointing to the Australian side, and that's supposed to point to the offending team. But in fact, a word to Mike Watkins, and the Australians had given the penalty instead.
Well, this is the nearest Wales have come to scoring a try in this match. Watch all the close determination, but of course the Australian defence is well up to it at this point. Now, having sucked most of the Australians in, I think a release of the ball here would have been far better, especially here. You see, all the Australian defence has been sucked in. A quick release of the ball might have released the Welsh backs behind.
So great roars here as the forwards were all together there in a maul situation, and the referee has given the put-in to the Australians, and I think that's what the Welshmen in the crowd didn't quite agree with. They're midway between halfway and the Australian 22, and the Welsh have taken one against the head. Bishop, is it a bit too far? Campese waits, and he's played a lot of rugby as a fullback, and he did that like a good international fullback that he has been. But the crowd getting very excited here now, because Wales are beginning to put on a bit of pressure. They've played about 16.5 minutes of the second half, and that crowd know that Wales are perhaps back in with a chance. Again, Bishop, Dacey, ring to Ackerman. Ackerman well tackled by Liner. Up there comes Tyneman. The loose ball has given the Australians a chance to clear. Back goes Ring. Tyneman in on the knockdown. Mark Ella was there as well. That's the Welsh 22. Now it's Far Jones, and there's a great chance here as Andrew Slack goes back inside to Rodriguez. Bishop with the tackle initially. They're only 10 metres out. Well, Mark Wyatt's in there as well, trying to stop the Australians from winning the ball. Number 15 there, the Welsh fullback. Well, that was a real chance, I thought, down here for the Welsh initially, wasn't it, Gareth?
Yes, but they're rather reluctant in moving the ball, and when they did, Mark Wyatt, having committed himself into the movement, had left himself vulnerable with no defence behind. And so when the ball went to ground, it meant there was no cover whatsoever. The Australians are so quick, and in particularly in Tyneman, he was on that ball like a flash, and it almost brought the Australians a try, which shows really the excitement they've brought to the game on this tour, and how dangerous and how the game really should be played. Cut and thrust, 1 minute back in defence, and then in the next minute making it an absolute run of about 80 or 90 metres, almost getting to the Welsh try line. Fantastic.
David Bishop, the injured player, and of course, Gareth, being a touring side, they'll naturally be a bit fitter and perhaps better able to last the pace with training every day.
And having prepared themselves as well.
Well, there's the rolling scrummage. Far Jones, Ella meant diagonally for Campese. Well, Mark Titley was there, and it said a lot also for the left wing Phil Lewis, who was across there to help as well. Mark Wyatt with the long kick downfield. Nice little bit of football by Michael Lynagh for the Australians, but Wyatt's kick had gone into touch. You can see how keen Wyatt is there. He's ready to take the throw in as well. Australian 10-metre line. Meant for Butler, and he got hands to it. Bishop. And of course, David Bishop there has a bit of an advantage in that Eddie Butler, who plays number 8 in the scrimmage, there he is going down. They both play for the same club, Pontypool. Far Jones, though. Ella, Lynagh. That could skid a bit. Yes, it was a difficult one. Ball keeping low. Wyatt recovered. Lynagh takes. This'll go. He gives it inside to Ella. Ella again to Lynagh. Lynagh setting it up for the forwards. He really was running into a red wall there, but it goes to Ella once again from Far Jones. Ella almost up to the 22. Interception there by Malcolm Dacey.
It's that man in support which is making the big difference today. The Australians are so much quicker in that department than Wales. We've noticed how David Bishop breaks away so often for Wales, but there isn't really that support for him behind, and therefore the move comes to nothing. But in Australia's case, there's always something on with a man coming around the man in possession. Makes for exciting rugby, but possibly more important from Australia's point of view, very effective rugby as well.
Well, effective enough to give them a lead of 13 points to 3 with just 19 minutes of the match to go. Remember, Wales lost both of their home internationals in the championship last season for the first time in 21 years. And it's 21 years since they lost 3 in a row. Ella, lovely switch to Lynagh. Great pick up there by Gould. Again, the Gary Owen. And it could be very awkward as Boydovan couldn't quite get it. Boydovan was beautifully positioned, but the ball spun over his head. Otherwise, it seemed a certain try. But that high hanging kick by Roger Gould is the one that causes all kind of panic stations in the Welsh defence and indeed in other defences that he's played against. That's the Welsh goal line. The turn now, may well be a pick up here, yes. Tyneman picks up. He tried to feed it to Far Jones. And of course they're fortunate in that they have Cody, who's a very big fellow indeed, a heavy 16-stoner, to add impetus. That's David Cody on the far side, the flank forward. Simon Boydovan this side, playing on the right. And so there's David Cody, who had played against the Argentine in '83, but got his second cap against England, and his third one today. Oh, that could be a pushover try, and it's given. The pushover try. I think Tyneman might have got his hand to it. He certainly looks the happiest of the whole lot. And Lawton there has his arm up in the air. Well, It was a lovely drive in the scrummage that did it. They held, they drove. Watch Tyneman, he's the man who held it in. It really was a walking scrummage all the way. Now, as soon as the ball hits the line, the scrummage is over and you can handle it. And, well, it may well have been Tyneman. But in any event, it's a third try for the Australians. And, well, they might well be out of sight by now. "17 points to 3. And as the Australian team discuss that try and what has to come, Roger Gould, a very experienced man, of course, 27, and finding that goal kick a piece of toffee.
Well, the worst feeling in the world is for forwards to go back in the scrimmage. Imagine what it must feel like when there's a try concerned as well. But with Alan Davies there, the Welsh blindside wing forward standing out, Wales are already under pressure with 8 men against 7, and a try, I think, was inevitable.
So we've 16 minutes of the match to go. Australia's biggest win over Wales, 18-8, in Brisbane in 78. Wyatt gets it going. Cutler gathers in. Bob Norster got round on the other side. And it was the big man Norster who prevented the Australians from winning clean ball there. Far Jones again. Gould. Another tree-top kick by the big man. Wyatt, however, had plenty of time. But Australian offside. Simon Poidevin was up very quickly indeed there. And all the advantage lost as Wales accept the scrimmage. Back where the ball was played. 15 minutes to go. 19-3, the Australians lead. There's Big Lawton, who's only 21 as well, the hooker. A very powerful front row, that is. And they've covered themselves in glory for the Australians today, because that scrimmage has been very secure, even though one ball has gone against the head. Butler onto Davies. Davies caught by Ella. Ball laid back well. Bishop, Dacey misses out Ackerman. That was Wyatt coming into the line, but caught there by Gould. And another brilliant bit of fullback play by Gould, who watched his opposite number and went with him all the way. Gould is still in there amongst the forwards, but he was the man who arrested that movement simply by following his opposite number. And well might he be pleased with that bit of play, Roger Gould. Australian 22. Far Jones again. Doink. Oh, another beauty. Well, he's had a super match, the big fellow, apart from taking over the responsibilities of the goal kicking and putting over 3 goals.
And that was like a 290-yard drive with one off the toe, wasn't it? Because he didn't quite make contact with him just as well for Wales, or he'd probably been down in Westgate Street.
Soaring over the back of the scoreboard, Gareth. Watkins through. Gathered in by Perkins, and John Perkins does that job well. Bishop with a big kick, but Gould has plenty of time as Lewis comes up. Another very high one. Wyatt. Well, he took it in. Yes, he took it in himself and hoped the Dutch judge hadn't noticed. Yes, Mark Wyatt carried the ball over the line, and so it was the Australian throw-in. But David Burnett, who's having a chuckle down there with Owen Doyle, the Dutch judge, he's a wise old bird as well. Botton's throw, but a bit of levering on a shoulder, and another chance for more Australian points. Mike Watkins checks. So Mike Watkins with a real job now as captain. Remember, he was the first Welsh player to lead Wales in a winning match in his first international. That hadn't been done for 102 years, but a tough job for him here as Roger Gould prepares to kick the penalty. Well, plenty of Australians up there on that East Terrace, and well, you'll hear some roar from there if this ball goes between the posts. Roger Gould holds the record for an Australian of 34 points on a tour in the test matches against New Zealand in '82. So Roger Gould, a little bit of ill-mannered whistling, but nothing much as Gould looks to put it through, and the flags are up. Well, that really looks like it. They've got 11 minutes of the match to go, and it's 22-3 to Australia. As I was saying, Australia's biggest win over Wales was 18-8 in Brisbane in 1978. That was in the days of Peter McLaren, who kicked 5 goals on that day, and Brynmo Williams got a try. But this is going to be even bigger by the look of it. Wyatt, straight out. One feature of the match is that it's been a very good-natured match. There's been no violent foul play of any description. Hard, but pretty fair. Marvellously quick strike there by Lawton. And again, the little crab sideways. Far Jones, however, Poidevin got in the way, but it's Liner. Liner to Gould. Gould to Greg. Greg, the big, powerful winger. The man from Townsville, can he get to it? And Lewis saves, but he had to put it over his own touch and goal line, so it'll be a scrum 5. That's big Peter Greg. I once saw him score 4 tries against the North Midlands of Scotland in 1981. So will the Australians go for another pushover? No, they won't. It's Far Jones to Ella. Ella with a drop goal, just past. Didn't quite get it right. The ball fell at an angle. Mark Ella, he's scored 6 drop goals in major test matches for the Australians. Mark Ring was ready to take a quick drop out away on the far side, but he's given it to Dacey. Up back there by Steve Williams. Oh, another beautiful ball for the Australians, out to Cody. Cody well tackled by Pickering.
The problem for Wales, really, especially in the second half, is that they have no outlet for possession, and very little scraps they have, they tend to be squandering it because they're a little bit devoid of any ideas. With no platform from which to work from, they're really looking for the individual break, and Australia are far too prepared for that type of tactic.
And they've been so tidy in their own possession that the Welshmen haven't had anything to get at, Gareth.
Very professional display this afternoon.
This is Andrew Slack, the captain, feeds on to Ella. Liner, lovely sharp, crisp passing again up to the Welsh 22. Far Jones once more. The little kick through, meant for Campese. Campese could well get there, but just beaten to it. I think it was Mark Ring who beat him to it, but Campese almost getting another try. Michael Liner quick there to stop the quick dropout. I tell you, things are happening so quickly here. So we've about 8 minutes of the match to go, plus a brief bit of injury time, and 22-3 for the Australians. Watkins with the throw, Norster a lovely catch, Bishop out to Dacey, but a penalty. I think the crowd were hoping that Owen Doyle would have allowed the advantage to go, because it looked like a good ball for Wales to have run. Here they're going to run it this time. This is Bishop. Bishop running into Poidevin. And that surely was a situation where the lad might well have fed it along the line and given perhaps Lewis on the left wing a chance to do something with it.
It's very much like the end of a hard World Championship fight. He's put so much into the earlier rounds that now he's got very little left to do, and he'll be far better in releasing the ball.
That's the Welsh 22. Bishop again. Well, he really did a tremendous amount of hard, grueling work in the first half, trying to break, running into all those orange jerseys. So he'll be a tired laddie, I would think, when this match is over. Still Wales up almost to the 22. Steve Williams, number 4 there, the vice-captain of the tour. And of course, Cutler standing. Once again, Rodriguez, who's done some superb work in cleaning up line-out ball. He really has swept the line-out beautifully. And that's been a key point in this Australian platform today. The bearded figure there, Rodriguez. Almost up to halfway. Norster Palms, Bishop, Pickering. Pickering half caught there by Cody, but did well to go further. The Australians killing the ball. Mr. Rodriguez. Bishop. Of course, the flying wedge has been outlawed, but it was just a decoy. It's Dacey. Dacey has got Ring with him. This is Ring. Tackle there by Grigg. Yeah, and it was Bishop who wanted to get it clear, but I think he just took his eye off the ball for a split second there, and it went forward from his hand. Australian 22. Farr Jones is so quick, not only round the scrummage, but in sweeping that ball away. That's Nick Farr Jones, this Burley scrum half, following very much in the Ken Catchpole mould of that sharp flicked pass. No wastage. We require a rugby ball. Steve Cutler, the lighthouse in this Australian line-out. Watkins is throwing. And Cody got to it. Drive on by Perkins, now it's Pickering. It's a bit of Welsh forward play, but it's the production of the ball now that they want. Now it's Bishop, Dacey. Dacey cuts back inside. It's still a good run. Caught there by Lawton. Welsh driving on, and the Australians again penalised for being on the wrong side. May have been Simon Poidevin who gave away the penalty. There he is, who scored 5 tries in major internationals for the Australians, the flank forward. And a great cheer for the Welshmen as they go for the tap penalty rather than the penalty goal. Watkins, the feed on there to Butler. Tackle was by Cody. Now it's Bishop. Bishop checking and going again. Oh gosh, you have to nail him to the floor, don't you? Offside, I think. We have about 3.5 minutes of the match to go. And Wales as close as that, but not going for the penalty. Watkins, the feed on to Davies.
Well, full marks for Enterprise, but it's so difficult to score against a well-organised defence, particularly this Australian defence, so close to the line, especially if you haven't got much speed, which Wales are very slow at the moment.
Well, they've channeled that ball quite cleverly across to Butler. Now it's Bishop. Bishop, the long feed out there to Titley. Titley well caught by Campese. Bishop, almost there, the try is given. It wasn't a knock-on. So David Bishop follows in the footsteps of Welsh scrum halves who've scored in their first international. 22 points to 7. It was quite a good bit of channeling by the Welsh forwards. They brought the ball right across to Eddie Butler. They held it pretty well. Now Butler fed, and watch here how Bishop gave it out first to Titley. Titley caught there by Campese. Now that would have been a knock-on in the olden days, but of course he stopped it hitting the ground. It was a try. Mark Wyatt with a conversion attempt. And he'll be delighted, and all those folk down at Pontypool Park will be thrilled as well. Wyatt, has he pulled it round? Yes, he has.
Well, give David Bishop every credit for persistence. Titley does well here to hold up the tackle and release the ball inside. How did Bishop manage to hold on to that ball? And of course, I think the Australian defence by this time really know that the match is safe, and there's very little tackling going on at that moment. But a fine effort by David Bishop.
They've actually got about 1 minute of the match remaining, plus a touch of injury time, and it's 22-9 to the Australians. Gould, and they're opening out from Titley. This is Dacey. Well, if the Australians relax too much here, make no mistake, the Welsh will come at them. Malcolm Dacey there, just running out of room and also of support. It's still up on the Welsh 22. Beautifully back to Bishop. Bishop again with the dummy. Little chip through. Up comes Gould. Gould held, but look at those Australian forwards getting back to support. That, I think, has been one of the features of the Australian play, the retreat running of their forwards, Gareth.
They've been there as one, which is why Wales have found it so difficult to win any kind of possession. As soon as that ball goes to ground, not only the back row there, and usually there first, but the whole pack are coming, driving hard, which is again why the Australian backs have enjoyed far better possession than Wales have throughout the match.
We're into injury time, and Wales are 13 points adrift. Jeff Whitefoot there at this side of the front row, who, well, it's a red-letter day for him, his first international. Even as a replacement, it's still a full cap. Parr Jones couldn't quite get it away, but Mark Ella did the rest. This is Campese. The pass was forward. David Campese there doing a little shuffle, almost an alley shuffle as he took off. That's the halfway line. Scrummage has got to be square on. Bishop again, Dacey, ring. Wyatt's in the line, feeds inside to Ackerman, but dummies. In fact, Wyatt held on. Perkins gets it. Perkins trying to feed out. Now it's Pickering. Now it's Wyatt once again, caught by Poidevin. The feed on to Watkins. It's coming out here nicely. It's Titley. Titley to Phil Lewis. Lewis out to Butler. Butler, the interception by Mark Ella. And I don't think Bob Ackerman can catch him. Ella has gone, and that surely is the final knell against a Welsh resurgence. An opportunist breakaway try by Mark Ella. And really the Welshmen were in the saddle here. Eddie Butler's pass being snapped up by Ella. And you could see Bob Ackerman had a slow start because of the heavy ground, and Ella really was cantering here. He knew he was home. So Mark Ella scores his 4th try in a major international match. So once again, Roger Gould, as the hover ball subsides here at this great stadium, who gave such an ovation to Mark Ella, such a popular player. And now the big man Gould, straight and true. The referee's whistle goes for the end of the match.
And even though Mark Ella is always alert to these sort of things, he must be very, very surprised that Butler was so careless in throwing that ball over his shoulder, giving that free run to the line. Well, with Christmas coming, that must be the early Christmas present for Australia.